Hello, welcome back to Fanfiction Theater. Today we're starting a new series, Venom's New Beginning, in which Venom, it's not time travel, right? He just gets sucked through a dimensional portal.
I swear I remember us talking about it, that it was built into the idea that whatever it is, Arendale or whatever is in the past.
So maybe,
could be wrong.
Maybe it was time travel. He gets sent to Arendale and he falls in love with Queen Elsa. Their love is threatened by Carnage.
As love always is.
Right. What do you remember from that fic?
The ice sickles.
Right.
That one was fantastic. Elsa was also fucking useless during that, except for one chapter.
When I think of this fic, I think, how many of us actually know what it's like to truly kill a man with our bare hands? Also, one of my favorite things about interacting with any piece of writing or art in general is that sort of idea that you're learning not only about the characters, but you're also learning about the author.
Right.
And that's what I kept thinking about and finding fascinating, because I believe we're set up that this is kind of a love song to his either girlfriend or wife.
Yeah.
And that, to me, really just kept being so fascinating. It's like, really?
Yeah, he wrote 15 or so chapters. Venom because it's his favorite character, and Elsa because it's his wife's favorite character or something.
Yeah, and Elsa is useless even though she's a superhero.
Yeah.
And he's singing Godsmack in in an ice castle, and I really want to know, what did his wife think about this?
Yeah. Yeah, I want her review.
But yeah, it was I also remember that even though like a lot of our stuff that we do ends up being very talky, and I'm fine with that, but I remember this one had a lot of nice action moments and a set piece. They'd had a lot of set pieces, and it inspired a lot of art, and I remember having a lot of fun working on different art pieces and feeling really inspired reading this. But yeah, this I do remember a lot of high points in this one and a lot of good moments. So this was back when joy was in my life. So.
I think this was our first drinking game. This was the story where it was then.
He also had that great habit of it wasn't like a drinking game, but it happened more than once where it was meanwhile, and then he would switch to the other side of the room.
yeah. Or the other side of a conversation or fight.
Right.
Did we ever figure out if Serpentine was an original character or if he was...
I don't think we ever figured anything out about this fanfic, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I always in my head pictured it as Serpentor, but I'm going to give the author credit that it was original.
Yeah, he was the first to make a Snake Man villain.
Well, I mean, not credit for Snake Man villain, but,
I do remember that this was written by Mikhail Gorbachev.
Right.
Man of the Year, 1980, whatever, right? And this was kind of an odd choice because Gorbachev is a big history buff, I think. And so the fact that there are some alterations between this and Marvel canon, that kept
liberties
coming up a lot.
Were taken, yes.
Right, liberties were taken, yes. And people just kept not understanding that.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like I say, Gorbachev, huge history buff, very strict about what had come before, but in this fan fiction, he was like, no.
Letting loose.
This is for the little woman, so I can...
Right. It's more of an allegory than anything.
Yeah. Right. Serpentine or whatever is essentially Putin. He was trying to warn us about that. I haven't seen Frozen, so I've forgotten all of the names, but Olaf and Letterkenny or whoever the hell it was, they're all in here, but I literally don't remember anything about them except maybe a sled breaks down at some point. Did they just do nothing?
Yeah, Anna and Kristoff and Olaf were pretty useless. Elsa is mostly just the love interest, and then the rest is just Venom brooding or like beating the shit out of drunken abuser in the village.
This is a hell of a fanfic.
It really, there. I'm so fascinated by the person underneath. I had forgotten that there's all of this like weird anti-hero stuff when all we ever see Venom do are good things.
Right, yeah. But he's still like, I'm the bad guy, I'm evil. You gotta understand.
It's very similar to Twilight, like, what if I'm not the good guy? And it's like you feed off of animals and you sparkle in the sun. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
He likes Godsmack, so
right,
I guess that's like a notch down, but it's pretty forgivable.
He has that darkness in his soul.
Right. But no, this is, I remember this as just being a hell of a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Fanfiction, celebrating foibles and shit. Go take a ride. So the first one that I found for Spider-Man and Frozen crossover is written by Cornholio 4, which seems a bad sign.
Yeah, it means there's three other Carnholios before he was.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's a bad sign for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
There are 11 such crossovers. SpiderFan626 is submitting several stories to that cause. Then we've got Man of the Year in 1989.
Yeah, I'll admit that one sounds about the best, though. It's long. It's a 40,000 word one. But after an epic battle with Spider-Man, both Venom and his counterpart / nemesis Carnage are sucked into an alternate dimension, the kingdom of Arendale.
As long as Olaf gets taken over by Carnage, that'll be cool.
Spider-Man Venom's New Beginning.
Chapter 1. Chaos. That was all Eddie Brock, also known as Venom, thought of the environment around.
I love the one-word openings. I used to use them all the time myself.
Yeah, the one-word opening is a good way to go. That was all Eddie Brock, also known as Venom, thought of the environment around him as he and his counterpart, Carnage, were thrashed around in the portal they were both sucked into. Both were aware of the other, and both wanted to continue their epic battle they were previously having. However, they had no choice but to endure the rough ride to whatever destination that the portal was taking them to. All of a sudden, there was a weak light at the end of the portal's tunnel, and as time sped by, the light got brighter and brighter. Then, before either of them knew it, they were out of the portal and in a strange new world. Seconds after the portal spat the duo out, it disappeared into thin air. Gotta give them credit, they jump right into it, right?
Yeah.
We don't have a long build-up. You're here because you know it. Read on.
Right,
you know?
Although they have to explain the fact that Eddie Brock and Venom are the same thing, so
That is odd.
I know.
Both monsters looked around at their new surroundings and were awestruck. They were on top of a large, snow-covered mountain, and in the distance they could see a city's dim lights shining in the sky. It was then Carnage turned his attention back to Venom and mocked,
"Maybe when I'm through with you once and for all, I can go
Okay,
to-"
wait. Carnage, unless they're doing some other Carnage, is Cletus Cassidy. He's a redneck, so...
Okay. So he has just like a normal redneck voice. It's not like distorted by the symbiote at all? Or?
I guess it could be like a rah-rah redneck, but definitely he's got
"Maybe
an
when
accent.
I'm through with you once and for all, I can go down there and have a little fun."
It was then Venom shot back,
"You fool! You fool! I always finish what I start."
It was then they resumed their fight.
Is every sentence gonna be? It was then that.
I know it made me. I wanted some of the like tortured writing from the Neopets thing. You know, it was then that the fight did not have its cessation continue anymore.
Yeah.
Venom threw the first punch, knocking Carnage back 20 feet, but he managed to redirect himself and flew back at Venom. Using that momentum, he kicked Venom onto his back. But then Venom managed to jump back to his feet and grab hold of his enemy. He attempted to swing him off the side of the mountain they were on. It's such an adorable misunderstanding of perspective. He attempted to swing him off the side of the mountain they were on, but Carnage used his suit to form a quick tentacle and grab Venom, causing him to go down with him. Okay, oh my god, no comma in that entire scene. The pair continued their battle as they fell through the air. Punches were being thrown and kicks were being delivered. Venom managed to grab Carnage in time and used him to break his fall as they made impact at the bottom of the mountain. The force of it left Carnage in a daze, but he managed to get back his composure and formed his sledgehammer in his hand. He quickly knocked Venom down with it while releasing an evil laugh.
That was fun, but now I'm afraid all good things must come to an end, brother.
Venom smiled and remarked, maybe it's Desmond from Lost in the Carnage suit right now.
Oh, me brother. Yeah.
Who said it was over, brother?
He then shot web out from his wrist and used it to grab Carnage. Once he had hold of Carnage, he began slamming him repeated into a stone ravine repeatedly. Boom! 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 After another boom, Carnage managed to slice his way out of Venom's web and launched himself forward. After Carnage delivered a successful blow, Venom managed to grab a hold of him. That's after they got sucked into this world.
Carnage the Boom King.
However, Carnage did the same. It was then a loud noise caught both of their attention, stopping the fight. How loud does it have to be if it's separate from the booms? Looking above their heads, they saw an avalanche coming straight for them. Both monsters released their grips of one another and began to outrun the coming landslide. Carnage was consumed by the coming avalanche within seconds, and Venom was scared he was next. Thinking fast, he jumped off the smaller hill they were on and managed to get off the trajectory of the avalanche. The violent wave of snow blew past him as relief went through him.
That was close.
He remarked.
Carnage.
He quickly looked around for Carnage, but there was no sign of him. Maybe he was still stuck in the snow from that avalanche?
I mean, it was just a little avalanche.
Yeah.
Venom used his sixth sense to find Carnage, but he couldn't sense him. Mustering his skill, he leapt back up to the spot they were fighting, which was now covered in snow, because there was an avalanche.
Where are you,
I mean,
Carnage?
that's not in it, but I just felt it was good to point out there.
Where are you, Carnage? Show yourself.
He barked. But still no Carnage. Does Venom just want to fight? Because, it would seem if you've got your monster covered in an avalanche, that's good, right?
Yeah,
but
mission
he seems very
accomplished.
upset.
I also would like to point out, I don't know a whole lot about the symbiotes, but I'm pretty sure that snow is not one of their weaknesses.
But still no Carnage. He had to either been long gone, or maybe by some miracle, dead. Venom rolled his eyes at that logic.
I'd never be that lucky.
He thought. He stayed around the scene of the fight for another 5 minutes, but still couldn't find Carnage. He decided he pressed his luck far enough and decided to leave. Well, if it's pressing your luck to stay, why did you start? Departing from the mountains, he descended into a deep forest. The journey would have been a 2-hour journey for the average person. However, he was not average, he was Venom.
On all the comics, they call him Venom the above average.
Yeah, that actually is a good line.
The not average
that's
Venom.
Really good. Put that on the movie poster. Guess what? Tom Hardy is not average.
He made it to the forest in 10 minutes. He landed in the treetop to survey the strange new land around him.
Where did that portal just take me?
I'm definitely not in Kansas anymore.
He joked. Then something caught his eyes in the distance. There in a clearing a few miles away sat a small store in the forest. Obviously it was open for business as he saw smoke rise up from its chimney. Changing to his human form, he looked at his clothes.
I could use a good jacket.
Maybe while
Why
I'm
is
there.
a smoking chimney a store open sign? How? Since when ever?
Yeah.
So I thought I'd come in, you had a fire going? It's like, yeah, it's cold. Get out of my house.
It's Final Fantasy logic.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He's there to find a good jacket. He's there for fashion.
That's right.
Okay.
Maybe while I'm there, I can get some information about this place.
He then shot some web out of his wrist and slung his way to the store. Okay. Once he got...
Fuck.
Once he got closer, he discreetly descended to the ground and made sure he was still in his human form. He was so used to taking the form of Venom, he didn't bother turning back to Eddie Brock most of the time. However, he decided it was best to keep a low profile, for now. He then emerged from his hiding spot and casually walked up to the building. He then examined the sign out front. Wandering Oaken's Trading Post and Sauna. Oh, I guess this is him talking. Sorry.
What?
Oh, it's the Swedish guy.
Oh, this is
He was
Hobbit.
awesome.
Wandering Oaken's Trading Post and Sauna. Nice.
He smiled. He opened the door and walked in, causing an unseen bell to ring. Sitting behind the counter was a large man who spoke in a very thick Scandinavian accent.
An unseen bell. Why did he like look around? Where's that bell?
I don't see it.
And he couldn't. And even with his enhanced senses, he could not find the bell.
Hoo-hoo. Big winter sale going on. Is that close?
Eddie Brock nodded in acknowledgement. Yeah, that's sure. Eddie Brock nodded in acknowledgement and casually strolled up and down the various shelves, examining the supplies. In truth, he didn't need anything there. A jacket would come in handy, but that was about it. He went
I'm here for one thing only. A
He went one
jacket.
more. He went one more aisle over and found a duster with a hood and tried it on. The duster
But
fit.
it's not a jacket. I don't want a duster. I don't want a parka. I don't want a coat.
The duster fit perfectly and was dark. He liked it and figured it wouldn't stick out like a sore thumb as bad now.
Yeah.
Picked up
In
the
truth, he
duster.
was tempted to just turn back into his Venom form and take what he wanted, but for some reason he just wanted to enjoy the quietness of the store. There's that damn bell, though.
Stop
You can't enjoy
closing
it.
for us.
And besides, he wasn't sure where he was or what he was dealing with, so discretion was his best bet for the moment. He looked back up and noticed the man was watching him. Feeling a bit uneasy, he decided to break the ice.
I've been on the road for a while now.
He quickly added in,
And I'm afraid I'm unfamiliar with this area. Where exactly am I?
the Norwegian man replied,
Is Norwegian and Scandinavian the same thing?
Scandinavia is multiple countries, right? So maybe. Scandinavian refers to both Norway and Sweden, so there you go.
Okay.
A beautiful kingdom ruled by our lovely Queen Elsa. She is the kitty. She. Wow, she isn't even in this sentence. The city is a day's ride from here to the southeast. I highly recommend you visit it while you're here.
He said,
I bet that is where Carnage will go next.
Eddie thought. He then walked up to the counter where the strange clerk clapped his hands together and remarked,
The strange clerk clapped. Ah, the coat looks good on you, yes? That will be 50.
Eddie responded.
Do you take American dollars?
The man looked at him strange and shrugged.
I'm afraid I can only accept Arendale currency. Sorry.
Thinking quickly, Eddie Brock then replied,
What about trade?
Oh God.
He took off his shirt slowly.
What do you have?
Taking off his watch, he handed it to the man and said,
This is my digital watch. Oh yeah, it's digital.
Oh.
Venom, well known for his digital watch ownership.
I like to think of Eddie Brock as the big guy, and he's got like one of those like 80s like calculator watches.
Yeah.
Look on the side. You can use those buttons on there to change your time, set an alarm, timer,
And it even has a small flashlight.
The man, this author, not a fan
The
of
man
end
was in
quotes.
complete shock at how high tech the watch was.
He's just talking about a different man.
You should be
This
impressed.
guy I know, I call him the man. The man was in complete shock at how high tech the watch was.
Does the man even know what tech is?
Right, exactly. You could be
No,
like, "Oh, that's
it's-
funny, Sonny boy. Now give me, get the hell out of my store."
Yeah, you wouldn't really understand it.
Very advanced piece of equipment, yes. Never heard of this digital you speak of, but I like it very much. Okay, I trade.
Where does the cuckoo come out?
It's a digital.
By the way,
cuckoo.
he says, "But I like very much." Like, so he's even more pidgin English, I guess. He then started playing with all the gizmos on the watch and especially took a liking to the miniature flashlight on it. Eddie then took that opportunity to wish the man a good day and walked outside. However, as he made his way outside, he was deep in thought.
No digital devices. The people here are dressed very strange. Where exactly is Arendale?
He then began watching a nearby family loading up their sleigh and pull off. The more he noticed, the more questions popped into his mind. He then felt something brush up against his foot. Looking down, he saw part of a newspaper gently being pushed by the breeze against his leg. I like the agency implied there. Just, here, sir. Just have it. Okay.
Yeah.
He then snatched it up and examined it. He looked at the date on the paper, and then it all made sense. The portal somehow miscalculated its trajectory and sent them back in time. Way back. Way before he was even born, centuries before.
Well,
I don't think they ever established what the actual year was in Frozen.
Yeah.
I like that this author assumed that Frozen just took place in Scandinavia long ago.
Right,
There was ice
exactly.
magic back there, right? Sure.
Right, it's like 1400s, something like that.
Yeah.
well, at least I don't gotta put up with Spider-Man.
He mused. But then his mood soured. Spider-Man. He then looked up to the skies and growled,
Our fight is far from over, Spider-Man. I'll be back to finish what we started.
is this a separate fight that we don't know about? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's separate from his fight with Carnage.
He then resumed to his Venom form and bolted through the forest and then ascended back to the treetop.
So getting the jacket was just kind of irrelevant then.
Yeah. He said he could use one, but he didn't need it.
now.
Venom,
It's a duster.
Unless Venom is wearing the jacket, which would be hilarious.
He then swung from tree to tree using his web powers and stopped. Something was wrong. Using his sharpened senses, he picked up on a distant scream. He was able to pinpoint it a couple miles northeast of his position.
I hope for your sake that isn't you causing trouble, Carnage.
He then... Carnage is under a friggin' avalanche, dude.
He's dead, man.
He then picked up his pace and began closing in on the source of the noise. He dropped to the ground as he saw what all the fuss was about. All the fuss, the screaming. There was a gang of men who were circled around what appeared to be a young couple. The men must have been bandits, as Venom overheard who he assumed the leader speak.
Give us your valuables or you die.
An evil smile came
That's
across
something
Venom's
a bandit
face.
would say. Showtime.
He then disappeared into the snow flurries that were blowing around the scene. Anna and Kristoff were trapped. The bandits eyed them hungrily with their swords out. The leader threatened them again.
This is your last chance, pretty boy. Give us what you got on that sleigh, or I'll cut your throat and bleed you out like a pig, and then I'll do the same.
Is this true to Frozen? Was it like this?
No.
Then I'll do the same with that pretty redhead of yours.
Kristoff, who also had his sword out, shot back.
Leave us alone. I will hurt you.
Anna, who was holding a small dagger, tried to appear brave, but she was terrified for her life. The bandits then laughed, and the leader spoke up again.
All right, you asked for it, boy.
He raised his sword and began to attack, but then something lashed around his leg and pulled him out of sight. The bandits then turned their backs to the young couple to look for their leader. Then a shadow shot through and grabbed another bandit and disappeared out of sight with him. The bandits then formed a small circle with their backs to one another, completely ignoring Kristoff and Anna.
I don't like this, Ace. I say screw the lovebirds. We gotta go. Right now.
Shut it. Whoever it is out for blood, and he ain't gonna get it without a fight. What?
The bandit named Ace spoke. Suddenly, a dark figure emerged from the storm and ran frantically at them. It was the second bandit, and he had a look of sheer terror in his eyes.
The second bandit to be pulled
Right.
out
Right.
of
So
sight.
he doesn't have a voice yet.
Help me! Monster! There's a monster out there and he got Joffrey!
But when the bandit got up to the group, he was pulled away again by an unseen force. Venom's just like, I
Maybe
just
it was
want to
the
fuck
bell.
this guy. Anna and Kristoff were in complete shock as they heard the blood-curdling shriek in the distance, but then instantly silenced. The group of bandits formed into an even tighter circle and waited for this
group? There's
monster
like
to
two of
return
them,
to
right?
claim its next victim.
Can two people form a tight circle?
No.
I guess they would have to like hold out their hands, right, behind
Right.
each other.
They start waltzing.
Waltzing back to back.
Anna looked at Kristoff and mouthed,
Let's go.
Kristoff nodded, but put up his hand, telling her to wait. She looked at him frustrated and confused, but he quietly said,
Whatever it is doesn't want us.
she gave him a puzzled look, so he explained,
These bandits are being hunted.
but whatever's out there could just be hunting humans, right?
Look, we've had two examples so far. They've both been bandits. Clearly, it's only interested in bandits.
Meanwhile, the bandits nervously shifted in their formation, waiting to see their enemy. Suddenly, Venom dropped into the middle of the circle and began his attack. Before they realized what was happening, it was too late. Venom grabbed and slung the men around as if they were rag dolls. Despite the bandits' numbers, they were no match for their attacker. Within seconds, all but one of the men were down for the count. The lone bandit stumbled away from the attacker. Kristoff and Anna could barely make out their mysterious savior as the snowstorm obstructed his appearance. Eddie decided to change to his human appearance as he approached the last bandit, who was shaking helplessly. He continued stumbling backward to the point where he was less than 10 feet away from Kristoff and Anna. It was then they were able to see their rescuer. The monster was a man, a very dangerous man.
But, like, the bandits were circled around Anna and Kristoff. Venom dropped into the middle of them. You would think he would be pretty close. But now
Right.
they're, like, stalking towards them somehow. Whatever.
And how big was that circle? How many bandits were there left?
Apparently, like, 56.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's every other inhabitant of Arendale who isn't Anna, Kristoff, or Sven. The last criminal raised his sword at Eddie Brock and warned,
Get back.
I'll kill you. Get away from me.
Eddie smiled and continued to walk towards his prey. The bandit swung his sword at him, only for Eddie to catch it with his right hand. Then with blinding speed, he grabbed the sword and broke it in half across his knee. The bandit turned whiter than the snow when Eddie broke his steel sword like a twig. He was helpless as his attacker closed in for the kill. Eddie Brock loved the terror he caused this man and decided to play on it one last time.
Boo.
The lone bandit ran off in terror, and as he was running away, Anna thought she saw something running down the leg of his pants.
Yo, you can see that through
That's
the snowstorm.
the way that that's phrased makes me think it's like he had a little animal companion.
Yeah, it's got to be on the outside of his pants.
Meanwhile, the bandit disappeared into the blizzard, and the pair was sure that he wouldn't be bothering them anymore. Satisfied his work was finished, Eddie began to walk off.
Wait.
Anna yelled, catching up to him, with Kristoff following right behind. Eddie turned back to see what she wanted.
Where are you going?
She asked him. He turned around to look at her. If she had any idea who he was, they'd be right behind that bandit. He mused to himself. He then answered the redheaded girl.
To Arendale.
He replied as he attempted to leave again. This time, Kristoff spoke up.
Look, buddy, you just saved our lives. The way I see things, we owe you one. Don't worry about it.
Eddie plainly replied as he continued walking. Then Kristoff continued.
Just hear us out, please.
Eddie exhaled as he once again stopped to look at them.
They're relentless.
But it's spelled like...
Possessive.
Yeah, possessive. He thought of turning to his Venom form just to scare them off and have some peace and quiet. But he decided to humor them. He looked at the two of them who were bound and determined to speak to him.
Deciding to humor people is a great plot device.
Yeah.
No wonder Spider-Man likes to split after he saves someone.
He thought to himself. Anna then replied,
We're heading to Arendale too. Ride with us. It's the least we can do, and plus it beats you having to trek through the snow.
he could easily reach Arendale by web-slinging his way there. Sleigh riding with a couple of overly friendly Norwegians wasn't his idea of fast travel. But the image. God, the image. But I really wish Tracy were here for that. But then again, something inside him told him to just go with it. Pretending to play hardball, he thought for a moment, then said,
Fair enough.
He's like miming playing baseball.
okay,
Helps
so
me
this was a
think.
good find, I think. I think this was a very good find.
Yeah, no, this is a good one.
Favorite
Yeah.
this
fun.
year.